There's pretty much nothing left of The Witcher now, but at least Netflix is suffering because of that. And that's a good thing in my opinion.
Ergorotic.com.
Greetings, you over 786,000 practitioners
That's a
of
lot.
common sense and the 40% who haven't subscribed yet. I want you to look for a lot of I told you so's and
Fuck you, I was right! Fuck you, I was right!
over the next year.
Nice.
Currently, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery is
A
the
banger.
flop heard round the world. And it is competing with The Flash to become the
Another
biggest
banger.
bomb of the year, and it is certainly the biggest.
If you hate movies, there is no better time to be alive than honestly now. We have Indiana Jones, and arguably the most unlikable woman in Hollywood after Captain Marvel, obviously, but her time to shine has passed at this point, okay? And, well, The Flash, where one Ezra Miller would not be hated enough, so they decided to double down and have two Ezra Millers, so you can be sure you will hate absolutely every second of it. It's amazing.
This financial disaster in Lucasfilm's history, or in this case, I should say, herstory.
Nice.
I have some major problems with this movie. One of the problems I have with the movie is that Phoebe's character was an asshole.
He said it.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's a good thing for Netflix because fewer people have noticed A, The Witcher Season 3 even came out, and B, that it's abysmal. A while back, I
Obviously.
made a video called The Witcher is Doomed, one that was covered by Asmongold. Thanks, dude. Well, here we are 7 short months later, and the beginning of the end is here.
The chat says that he's leaving because he doesn't agree with the storylines that the writers have been developing. If that's the case, I can completely understand that because Henry is such a huge fan of the games and the books. And the writers on the Netflix series have chosen, for whatever reason they did so, to deviate quite severely from the books and the games. I personally don't understand.
I can tell you the reason why they chose to do it. It's because it's Hollywood. Those people all as one thing that they are the best thing ever. They are God's gift upon humanity. You know, you should be basking in their presence. You should be begging on your knees just for more. And these people get confronted with something like The Witcher, which is ridiculously successful in every form possible, pretty much. And they look at it and they like, I wouldn't do this like that, so this is actually garbage. And they think that they can make it better. I can guarantee you, not a single person, not a single one of them, who is currently working on The Witcher has worked on anything even remotely close to its success. And these people are just spiteful assholes. That's all it is. They see something more successful than them. They think, nah, this is garbage. I know better. We know better. We are Hollywood. It's disgusting.
And the choice.
Now, all of this could have been avoided if you listen to the fans, just like with Kathleen Kennedy over at Lucasfilm. If you had listened to the fans, you had multiple times to fire her after The Last Jedi, after Solo, after The Rise.
I mean, say what you will about Kathleen Kennedy, but our girl is getting paid and she's just doing what she wants. She wants to steer the ship in multiple icebergs. She wants to steer the ship on land. Girl power, baby. That's what it's called. No nothing. No regrets.
Of Skywalker, after she fired Gina Carano. But beyond all rational explanation, she is still in charge, and look where
Obviously.
it's gotten. We've also seen this with Chris Chibnall and the first female doctor played by Jodie Whittaker. Those
a
two were
classic.
only shown the door after the show had completely cratered. Same goes for Alex Kurtzman, who's been killing Star Trek now for years. Yes, he did have a recent success with Picard Season 3 1 he had nothing to do with, but now he's gone right back to killing Star Trek, and now 2 of his shows have been canceled with more to come.
This kid's got to go back to preschool.
Michelle Yeoh is set to star in her own Star Trek movie.
Because she's a woman. That's probably literally the reason.
Brent.
This is
And now
great.
Netflix is doing the same thing. The second Henry Cavill started having a problem with Lauren Schmidt Hissridge's writing, she and her entire staff should have been gone. Admittedly, despite it having problems, I did like season 1. Gave it a 7 out of 10, but this is the portion of the video where I get some I told you so's.
Oof.
I told you so. I told you.
I earned that. Despite my age, I'm still capable of being a sweet summer child. Now let's do a brief
happens.
recap of The Witcher's road to failure. After a very successful season 1 where Netflix thought they had their Game of Thrones, we started hearing some concerning comments from Henry Cavill.
With the shift of the showrunner's vision, where it's an ensemble cast more so than a singular lead, and the perspectives is shifted to be almost more of a Cirilla Yennefer perspective. And so it's about finding my character's place within that vision and making sure that I do everything I can to be as faithful to the source material as possible within the structure set out for me.
That was Henry.
The irony was the fact that he was the only one who wanted to be faithful to the source material.
Trying to temper our expectations, and that's a good thing, because then season 2 came out and they absolutely butchered the book Blood of Elves. After Lauren Schmidt Hissrich completely ignored the fan complaints of there not being enough Witcher in The Witcher, she decided to put less Witcher in The Witcher for season 2.
A
Then
classic
we heard from
move.
former Witcher writer Beau DeMayo that writers on the show were openly mocking the source material. Then on October
we know
13th
this.
of 2022, Henry Cavill announced he was leaving The Witcher, and it all gets worse from here. Shortly after that, a petition was started with over 300,000 signatures.
It's also so sad because, you know, when you listen to him talk about all of this stuff, you know, that's like one of his dream roles, okay? The guy literally wanted that so unbelievably badly. At that point, it's actually not about the money for him. It's about, you know, a chance to do something that he wanted so badly, that he loves so much. And what happens? Well, he gets to live through disaster. He literally single-handedly tried to save the show, and without him, even season 1 probably would have been complete garbage, because he was the only one who cared about the books, the games, the everything. Everyone else just wanted to rewrite their own power trip in the name of The Witcher.
Netflix, you must keep Henry Cavill as The Witcher and replace the writers instead. Then after that, we
Nice.
started to understand why Henry not only left, he ran. Blood Origin was released with a whopping 13% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 1.4
Amazing.
user score on Metacritic, making a pretty good case of being worst fantasy series in a year that Willow and the Rings of Power came out. But that was just a taste. What did Lauren Hissrich and her patriarchy-smashing writing team have up their sleeves next? This brings us to The Witcher Season 3.
Ooh. True.
First off, props to Henry Cavill for being a true professional. Part of being a professional is showing restraint, and I'm sure the first time he saw that script, he wanted to set it on fire and tell him to piss off. In Season 3, just like in Season 2 and actually Season 1, everyone's after Ciri. As the synopsis goes, as monarchs, mages, and beasts of the continent compete to capture her, Geralt takes Ciri of Sintra into hiding, determined to protect his newly reunited family against those who threaten to destroy it. Season 3 is based on the book A Time for Contempt, which is appropriate because Lauren Hissrich has obvious contempt for The Witcher and men in general. At this point, you should just call the show The Witch Her, because this is clearly the Yennefer show, and it always has been. One more time.
Amazing.
I told you so.
Yennefer, Ciri, and their sidekick Geralt are all together again, except there's a little problem. I seem to recall last season that Yennefer betrayed both Geralt and Ciri, and then Yennefer goes so far as to try to sacrifice Ciri to get her magic back, but apparently Ciri and Yennefer worked it out before the season started, and it only takes a couple episodes for Geralt to forgive Yennefer. But why take the time to have Yennefer authentically redeem herself after quite...
Are you kidding me? The best part is that she didn't have to redeem herself. Honestly, if they tried to actually create such complicated writing, it would have been even worse. When shows like this happen, when disasters like this strike, the simpler the plot, the better. Because the harder they try to implement an idea, the harder do they make a situation, the worse it gets. So, them doing this off screen is honestly the biggest blessing that we could have had, because they would have destroyed. It would have been the most disastrous thing ever. Which I kind of want to see, actually, because if I think about it, well, it would be interesting.
Quite frankly, butchering her character last season when you could just blow past it and get back to girl bossing. Anya Chalotra as Yennefer and Freya Allan as Ciri are fine, but they're given nothing to work with this season. Just like last season, and I know this comes from the books. But Ciri is just a girl who's the key to everything. That might have been new at one time, but it's not now. It's just a tired old trope. And Yasker is back to sing another song for Dan Vast to cover. And just in case you haven't heard, Yasker's totally bi now because Netflix has been pretty subtle about it.
Yeah.
And Yasker spends most of his time in a will gay, won't gay with Prince Radovid.
I am not gay. I have
Bruh.
relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got
That's
news
pretty
for you.
non-gay.
That means
Yeah.
you're gay.
Then there's our list of girl
Impossible.
bosses. There's the good girl boss, Tisea, the bad girl boss, Philippa, the
There's too many girl bosses to count, honestly.
dumb girl boss and elf, Francesca, the former girl boss, Fringilla, who's put on some COVID weight, body positivity girl boss, Margarita, and Ava, who's technically a they-them boss, and a whole host of
Wow.
other characters, including Triss, Istrid, and Gahir, and I can tell you right now, I don't care about any of them. Not enough to even tell you what happens. Sure, there's
Yep.
a couple of decent moments with Lars
Yep.
Mikkelsen's Stregobor or Graham McTavish's Dijkstra, but they are fleeting. And brief moments do not make a show good. And I don't even know what the point was to bring in Emperor Amir to just do his best Cersei Lannister impression.
When you have finished this mission, we shall have everything that we want.
And Bart Edwards is too young. He looks like Ciri's older brother, not her father. And this brings us to the
That's
show's
true.
titular character,
That's actually very on point. Wow.
The Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, played by Henry Cavill, who's just an afterthought. We're told that this season
Side
is far more
character, you
book
know?
accurate, I guess, except for when it isn't. Our boy Geralt is done dirty again. He's more babysitter than protector, and he goes on more inane side quests.
Well, technically, a protector is a babysitter, you know, if we're being real pedantical about it.
That didn't happen in the book, including one where he finds a fake Ciri and has to fight a fleshy girl bits monster whose heads are hanging off the wall and look suspiciously like testicles.
I told you so.
Now this is the only monster he fights alone. He gets help from Ciri on the other two, and of course she gets the kill on the final one. But why
Makes
see
sense.
Geralt of Rivia slay monsters when you can see him sitting around and talking to Yasker, sitting next to beds, and crying for his mama? As you may or may not know, Netflix cut this season in half to
No.
try to milk Henry Cavill, for lack of a better description, for all he's worth. And if you don't think Netflix is keenly aware that their show is dead, I give you this from
They
Forbes.
are. They
Netflix
are.
throws Liam Hemsworth under the bus in a desperate marketing bid for The Witcher Season 3. And here's the tweet from The Witcher, just in case you need a reminder yet.
You know what's my favorite part about all these Netflix disasters? It's the fact that the people at Netflix, at all these Disneys, all these Hollywoods, they are acutely aware that these are disasters. But they allow it to happen. They know that what they are doing is not working. They know what they are doing is being hated upon and hated upon. But they continue doing this. Because they do not care. They know this is going to be financially an absolute dead end at best of times. And yet, it's fine. Because they can't make mistakes. At least not publicly, obviously. When has a single Netflix show come out, or a Disney show, or whatever show from Hollywood, come out and said, yeah, we kind of failed. We did bad. No, doesn't happen. It doesn't happen because they cannot ever admit that they were wrong.
Yes, he's still Geralt in Season 3. Ouch. And where does Lauren Hissrich decide to end this first part of the season? With a ball.
Gay!
Which is strange because this show has no balls. And it doesn't end there. This
Nice.
also happens to be the worst episode of the worst season. The episode is mostly told in flashback with multiple repeated scenes, and the big twist is we're not seeing different perspectives, we're simply seeing different angles. I'm not doing this awful writing justice. Again, we see the same scenes twice, we hear the same dialogue twice, just from a different angle.
Hey, at least she's hot though, boys. It's at least something.
Episode 5 was called The Art of Illusion, and if you weren't sure all is not what it seems, they had some bards singing All is not what it seems over and over again. It looks like Lauren Hisrich went to the Ryan Johnson School of Dumb Filmmaking meant to make you believe it's smart. And I know the costuming and the sets have never been spectacular in The Witcher, but it has devolved to being indiscernible from things like Willow, The Wheel of Time, and The Rings of Power. And things like time...
Oh, God. Oh, do not remind me of The Wheel of Time. I had so many hopes. Until I watched 2.5 episodes, and I was done. It was so, The Wheel of Time was so sadly bad, I couldn't even watch it. It's a disaster that still haunts me, honestly. It just was that bad. Please do not watch The Wheel of Time. Do not even think it exists. It doesn't.
And distance are completely thrown out the window this season. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea how long anything takes. We know these events take over weeks and months, but in the show...
This is actually a very good point. Because this is something all of the bad, series pretty much does. You don't know where they are. You are never even told where they are supposed to be, or supposed to even remotely head sometimes even. And you have no idea how much time has passed. It's like completely disassociated. And I think that's like one of the best examples of bad shows, because every bad show does it. You have no idea of the time. In good shows, you always kind of have, some clue how much time passes. Did they kill this dragon in 3 seconds or 2 days? You know. But in bad shows, you never understand for some reason that. That's interesting. That's a very interesting point.
Feels like a couple of days. Put simply, this show is dumb. Tell me, why would you drop off all of your things on the top of a cliff when you have to climb down to catch a ferry? How does a peasant get such expensive, modern-looking hair?
That's racist!
Why did a monster decide not to eat the diverse cast members?
That's racist!
Why do all the mages who we are told are beautiful in the books look like they work for the Netflix marketing department?
That's racist!
And how much was the budget cut for this season? The CG largely was laughably bad, including this Ciri horse riding scene. This is where we get to see the Wild Hunt. And if you watch Blood Origin, which the vast majority of you didn't, you would know that the mighty and formidable King Aradin is actually just a wafy guy who's mad because his boyfriend died. When the show isn't abysmal, it's incredibly boring, and it's pretty clear Henry Cavill made the right decision. And it looks like the people agree because it is getting destroyed. Thomas S., 1 star. Started off okay, not really, but pacing was strange. Yes, it was. Characters' traveling speed made no sense. Hard to figure out where scenes were taking place, and so much side character nonsense that just drags on for no reason. But honestly,
man, the little things matter so much, though, right? Time, locations. If one scene is in a castle and the other one is like in a farm village, bruh. I mean, you don't think about it, honestly, with your front brain, but something's wrong. Something's just not adding up. Man, these things, these are the easiest to avoid mistakes, because you don't even need to actually be like a good writer to avoid them.
Watching the last episode 5 was one of the most painful, difficult things I have watched in a while. A shitty song played over and over again as dialogue and scenes are repeated again and again, all for a reveal we already knew since like season 1. Josh A., half star, just a teenage love drama. Barely made it through the first couple of episodes, but decided to reluctantly chug on. To my dismay, the last episode was the worst of them all. Ion G., half star. Season 3 is more accurate to the books, meaning random Easter eggs from the books without context, and the meaning changed so much that it makes no sense. They ruined impactful scenes from the books just to put them in this rotten show.
How could they actually be faithful to the books if I understand that the writers actually didn't read the books and refused to read them because they all thought it's garbage to a degree. So some of them didn't even read it?
Oh. Bad cringe characters are not even book accurate, and I think he meant to say neither are the monsters. This seems like bad fan fiction. Let me play devil's advocate. Maybe Lauren Hisrich and her team of writers didn't adapt the books properly because they wanted to play to their strengths. The only problem with that argument
they
is
don't have
as writers,
strengths.
they don't have any strengths.
Yep.
And it's become abundantly clear Lauren and her team can't write men. But to be fair, they're only slightly worse at that than...
I mean, yeah, it makes sense.
writing women. I'll remind you that we are going into the 3rd month of the writer's strike, and
Good.
I would also like to mention that I've spent the last couple of weeks watching things like Strange New Worlds, The Flash, Secret Invasion, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dysentery, and now The Witcher Season 3, and I'm just gonna say, you're not making a good case for yourself. Go ahead, stay on strike. I don't even care what happens in the second half. The Witcher Season 3 is awful, and this show is dead.
By the way, the writer's strike makes just perfect sense in my mind. Entitled people who think they are better than everyone, who think that they are good at their job, who suck at their job, want more pay because they ruin everything. It's just the sweetest amount of perfect irony that you can get, honestly, in my opinion.
If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
10 out of 10 Nerdrotic.
Please subscribe.
Yep. And there we go. Nerdrotic and Nerdrotic Daily. The Daily's actually kind of better than his main channel, not gonna lie, boys. But it is what it is. 10 out of 10. Netflix does it again. Oh boy. Whenever Netflix does something good, it's an accident. It's an accident. What can I say? Anyway, this was Chris Sid saying thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.